and it is not up to the state to decide this. Thank you very much. We'll now move on to the last petition. So Ms. Carolina Fernandez Bustillo on behalf of Inclusive Yes, Special also, Inclusiva Sí, Especial También.
And good afternoon, and thank you very much for this opportunity to defend before the European Parliament our petition. Today, I am the voice of a number of students with special needs, their schools, half of them are state schools, their families, and also their teachers. I'm representing the NGO Inclusive but Special too. We are completely independent from any political, economic, or religious group. And we were created in 2018 as a reaction to an attempt to prohibit special schools in Madrid, and also as a reaction to the declarations by the Spanish Ministry of Education, Mrs. Celaá, in the Spanish Parliament, setting out a plan where all the students from special schools were going to be transferred to mainstream schools. You have the documents in the folder of our petition. And the reason why we are here today is because our voice has been constantly ignored, and it still is. It was ignored by the UN experts who were sent to Spain to check out our education system and who never visit a special school. Still, they issue a report that we, in our opinion, think is at least partial. But we have also been ignored recently by the Spanish Parliament, who rejected a formal petition for our intervention before the Parliament in the middle of the process, urgent process adoption of the new education law. And this was all done in the middle of the coronavirus crisis, as it has already been explained by the other petitioners. And we're here to speak up. We're here to speak up today because minorities have rights, and we are a minority. Our children with special needs in special schools are a minority, but they also have rights. In particular, they have a right to receive free compulsory education, as provided by Article 14 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights. And public authorities have the obligation to consider a priority the best interest of the child in every public action they may adopt, including the laws, as provided by Article 24 of the Charter. And unfortunately, the recently adopted law has severe shortfalls. First of all, it lays down a principle. It's completely the system defined by the law is completely relying on the principle of inclusion over other interests. And as parents, as families, we strongly advocate for inclusion. We advocate and we fight for the highest level of inclusion of our children in every aspect of their life. We want inclusion for their education. We want inclusion for, their work in the future. We have inclusion in politics also. However, we are aware that there are other fundamental elements, such as their mental and physical health, and also their emotional balance, that have to be taken into consideration by public authorities when protecting their best interests. And the fourth provisional amendment of the law has defined a system where our special schools are going to be transformed in resource centers in a very clear deadline, 10 years, and without any additional budget. So our schools that are extraordinary but have no superpowers will not be able to attend the current number of students' needs and also become resource centers without any additional budget. So most of the students in the special schools in Spain will have to be transferred to mainstream education. And this transfer is going to be carried out without the family's consent, even without hearing the family's opinion, because the new law only requires the administration to take into consideration the family's choice for mainstream education, disregarding the family's choice for special schools when the families consider that this is the better way to protect the child's best interest. So this is a problem because Article 21 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights provides for every citizen as families to be treated equally before the law. And also, it completely ignores the choices described by Article 15, paragraph 2 of the Social Charter Revised, which specifically states that persons with disabilities have a right to be educated in the general scheme, in the framework of the general scheme, and I'm reading literally from the Social Charter, whenever this is possible and when it's not possible through specialized bodies. So here I am in the European Parliament asking you to request the Kingdom of Spain to remedy these breaches of the law and make sure that the priority of the child's best interest is adopted in the law. Also to ensure that every single child with special needs have a right, that the law will ensure that every child with special needs has a right to go to special schools when this is required to protect his best interest. Also that the law will take the appropriate measures in order to make sure that special schools can still exist, and also that the law will treat us families equally as provided by the Charter of Fundamental Rights. I'm here today asking you this because the future of our children with special needs in special schools in Spain is in your hands today. And please do not forget that nothing should be decided about us without us. Thank you very much.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you very much. I'll now give the floor to the European Commission, Department of Education and Culture, specifically Ms. Raquia Lozo.
Yes, hello, this is Raquia Lozo speaking on behalf of the European Commission. Can you hear me?
No, we cannot hear you. Yeah, exactly. Really low.
Wait, just a second. Can you hear me better?
Yeah, now better. Yeah, perfect.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay, as I said, Raquia Lozo speaking on behalf of the European Commission. So just maybe before even starting, let me briefly mention that although there are 5 petitions relating to the new Spanish Act on Education on the agenda today, only one of them was referred to the Commission in time for us to adopt a final position. And that is the petition 627 from 2020, submitted by Mr. Pedro José Caballero García on behalf of CONCAPA. Accordingly, the position that I will present today on the remaining 4 positions is only preliminary and does not, for the time being, reflect the views of all the Commission services involved in the assessment of these files. The full and the final replies will therefore be provided in writing. Now, all 5 petitions concern the recent adoption of the new Spanish Act on Education, so-called LOMLOE, and raise a number of issues with regard to the said act. Most notably, the petitioners allege a breach of the right of parents to choose the type of education they want for their children, mainly invoking Article 14, paragraph 3 of the Charter of Fundamental Rights of the EU. Additionally, the petitioners argued that the newly adopted act infringes on the freedom of education and the freedom of religion, notably by changing the status of religion courses in the school curriculum. It is further claimed that the law in question introduces unjustifiable changes to the education of children with special educational needs. And this is in particular in the focus of the petition 103 from 2021, which also alleges the violation of the right not to be discriminated against based on the disability and the need to make children's best interest a priority in all actions relating to them. It is also argued that the disputed law imposes restrictions on semi-private schools and discriminates against single-sex schools, which are reportedly denied funding they were previously benefiting from. Moreover, one petition, and this is specifically petition 76 from 2021, objects to the change in the law regarding the use of